You know that frustrating experience where you feel like you keep circling back to the same issue over and over again? And even though you already worked on it, you already did healing work for it, you already prayed about it, you did all the things, right? But no matter what, you just feel like you keep coming back to square one. What is going on here? Here's what's going on. You're not back at square one. You are progressing, but you're progressing in an upward spiral like this, because that's how healing works. Healing is not rising up a ladder. Healing is rising in an upward spiral, so that you do keep circling back to the same issue over and over again with each loop of the spiral, but you're not at square one because you're higher up on the spiral, right? And with each loop you make, you are evolving in some way, whether it's healing another layer of trauma or gaining some wisdom or learning a new skill or developing more confidence or releasing more control. Whatever it is, there are powerful changes taking place each time you make that loop. And so even if you're not satisfied with the outer circumstances of your life in terms of like those changes, there are changes happening internally. There's like this restructuring happening of your internal landscape, right? So with that in mind, let's consider two things, okay? First thing is look back at your situation again and see if there have in fact actually been real improvements since you started working on it. Because it's natural that when there are improvements, they quickly become part of our new normal, and we tend to overlook things that are just our normal, right? Like things that are just normal for us, we don't think about it so much. But it is important to notice the improvements because that helps us build trust that there will continue to be more improvements, and we just need to keep at it, right? The other thing to consider is if there have not really been improvements, or like if they haven't been consistent or long lasting, or they've the improvements are just not good enough, like this is just not okay kind of thing. Or maybe forget about improvements. Maybe things have just gotten worse since you tried working on it, right? So what's happening here? So before I share the next thought, I just want to mention that there are so many different types of challenges, and so no one idea is going to apply to every kind of challenge. So with whatever I say, take what fits, leave the rest, okay? But there are many kinds of challenges where the reason you feel stuck is because with each repetition of the experience, you keep choosing the same reactions, the same choices, the same perspectives. And that's not going to work. But that doesn't mean that you haven't evolved at all. No, you have. Because with each repetition of the experience, or what each repetition of the experience is doing, is it's shedding more and more layers of either denial and resistance to facing the reality of what is, or it's bringing you closer to being capable of surrendering to the reality of what is. And surrender is not resigning. We don't resign ourselves to situations. Surrender is actually the opposite of resigning, and it's very powerful. But that's for another time to talk about or to go into. Another thing that the repetition of the experience is doing is that it's chipping away at your strongly held beliefs that are disempowering you. Because we all come into adulthood with firmly held beliefs and many of them are really not serving us. So each time we experience this loop, it's like loosening the grip. Bit by bit, each repetition is loosening the grip that these disempowering beliefs have on us. Because at the end of the day, we are not meant to hold on and cling to the same old beliefs and the same old habits and the same old relationships and the same old jobs and all of that, right? Or even if we are meant to hold on to them, we're not meant to hold on to them in the same way. We're not meant to engage with them in the same way, because many of our old patterns are rooted in fear, survival mode, and things like that, and that has to go. That has to go if we're going to get what we want, because we don't get what we want. And we need to keep remembering that. We don't get what we want, we get what we are. So every time we circle back to the same issue, it is bringing us, each repetition is bringing us closer and closer to the version of ourselves that embodies what we want. And eventually we make it to the top of the spiral, we experience the breakthrough that we're waiting for, and we get to have that joy and that satisfaction. And I want to bless you all that should happen for you very soon.